Today we are joined by Ian Bousfield, former principal trombonist of the Vienna Philharmonic. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're welcome, it's a pleasure.
Well, my first question that I think everyone has been dying to know is why have you decided to resign from the Vienna Philharmonic?
Yeah, there's a lot of people think I'm crazy, partly including myself. Basically, I've had so far a 30-year orchestral career. I was in the Halle Orchestra, then the London Symphony Orchestra, and then the Vienna Philharmonic. Mm-hmm. So I kind of decided after 30 years I was going to give myself time off for good behaviour, you know. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, the truth of the matter is that I was very fortunate to start my career very early. I was 18 when I got my first job. So it's given me the chance to perhaps launch myself into another career, into another facet of music. And again, after 30 years, I'm just going to keep playing the same repertoire again and again and again. I mean, I've recorded Bolero 5 times and played concertos with every orchestra, and each time I think to put myself under some more positive pressure and move on and do something else. So I have a professorship in Switzerland, in Bern, at the Hochschule in Bern. Which is only a small commitment. It's a 50% professorship, so a couple of days of the week, and that gives me a nice base to deal with some excellent students. The students there are fantastic. The class looks like it's going to be great next year, and it also gives me plenty of time to go out and try and see if I can survive as a soloist, if I can you know, function as a conductor. So it buys me the opportunity to try something else.
And like you said, you started your career at a very early age. When and why did you decide to become a professional trombonist?
Okay, I was kind of one of those, I was always, one of my first memories is of tap dancing for my neighbours when I was about 3 years old. I fell over and started crying, but I tried to tap dance. So I've always been happy, as far as I can remember, being the centre of attention. And I don't mind admitting it, you know. And I was kind of a bit of a, well, I wouldn't say a dropout by the age of 7, but things weren't going too well in school. And I had a wonderful, what we call a headmaster, the guy who ran the school. And he used to take a new instrument every week and practice it Monday to Friday, and then on Friday he'd play whatever he'd learnt to the whole school, which is a remarkable thing. Yeah. I mean, it was probably bloody awful, but at least he tried, you know. And one day he turned up with a trombone, and it was literally the lightning strike. I just suddenly thought, that's what I want to do. And I went to him and said, you know, I want to play the trombone. He said, great, have this. And put it in a case and said, take it home. So that's kind of how it started, yeah. And I have to say, I think pretty much in the intervening 41 years, I've woken up every morning and thought, great, I'm going to play the trombone. I've never once doubted the decision, nor have I ever fallen out of love with the instrument.
And at that age, what were some of the goals that you set for yourself later on, and do you feel like you've achieved those goals?
At that age of 7, my goal was to get a girlfriend, and the trombone was a very good way of doing that. It's a very successful instrument, as you may well know, in that regard. I'm only joking. Goals at 7, no. I had some fairly tough discipline from my father. He made me practice 1 hour every day when I was 7, and he used to sit and listen. My father listened to every minute of practice I did between the age of 7 and 18 when I left home. So goals, I don't know, when I look back on it, the influence that I had from my father at that time was, he used to tell me how good I was all of the time. He also used to be very hard on me as well, but it was very much positive reinforcement, and he told me, he kept telling me from about the age of 9 that I was the best trombonist in the world, you know, and he was right, nearly. He wasn't quite right, but he was close. And so my goals then, I don't know, was to get into the National Youth Brass Band or the European Youth Orchestra. I played a lot of competitions, and also played a lot in English style brass bands. In the north of England, that's the home of the brass band in the north of England where I come from. So yeah, and very early on, when I was 10, I heard the theme tune to Star Wars and decided at the age of 10 I wanted to be first trombone in the London Symphony Orchestra, you know. So that was my goal from the age of 10, which I then 13 years later did do, you know. So that was like another life-changing moment, I think. The next one was probably hearing Electra in the Vienna State Opera in 1986. When I heard that in the opera, I thought, wow, if I'm ever going to play in another orchestra, it's going to be this one. And then that happened. So the goals have done okay, you know, it's been okay.
Yeah. So you've performed in orchestras around the world. You're a soloist. You've been on soundtrack like Star Wars and Braveheart, and teach. What is your favorite part of your job, and why? Is there one thing that you could pick?
No, there are two. There are two things that I love the most, and I wouldn't put them in any particular order, but like on Saturday night I played with the US Army Band in Washington, and it was for a trombone conference, so there were, I don't know, 500 trombonists there with mobile phones ready to post something on YouTube the next day. I assume I played too well because no one's posted it. Sorry. I suffer a lot with it. We suffer with this stuff, I got to tell you. And it's the feeling of the spotlight being on you, and you have to deliver. And I think it's a little bit like mountaineering. And the most extreme case of that was when I did the Nina Rota concerto with the Vienna Philharmonic and Riccardo Muti in Vienna. And it was like the Sunday season concert of the Vienna Philharmonic. People like me don't get to do that, you know. And I knew that that was going to be the high point of my musical career. And I would say that I have never felt more alive than I did in that 20 minutes. It's like you could feel every millimetre of your skin throughout the entirety of the performance. It was quite amazing. So I enjoy being in the spotlight and having to deliver. I think if you don't enjoy doing that in some way or another, then you're in the wrong game, you know. That's one thing. And the other thing that I enjoy, and I wouldn't like to say more or less than probably equal to that, is when you say something to a student and it makes a difference. It's just the most fantastic feeling for me to know that a student is coming in and has been banging their head against the wall sometimes for months about something, and you can think something through with them and help them. You know, that for me is just so rewarding, you know. I think it's, and you know, as you will know personally, every student is different, you know, you can't apply the same system. So it is, you know, that sort of like Times crossword puzzle element to teaching where you think, okay, how do I go about this in your particular case? Of course, it's very frustrating when you can't, because you can't always make it work. But those are the two things that I think I enjoy the most, yeah.
So I looked at your schedule on your website from now until July, and you are pretty much booked every day until then. How do you balance having all of these amazing jobs and, you know, staying sane, traveling everywhere?
I don't. That's why I'm leaving the orchestra. I've been living a double life now for a long time, where I was aware it's been a little bit like a swan trying to take off. You know, you sort of keep flapping your wings, and then eventually think, you know what, I can fly now. I'm going to leave the orchestra, and it's building the other things up. So I'm actually doing the work for probably 3 people at the moment. And certainly in this 3-month block, I'm at home for 10 days. So it's 2 weeks away, 2 days home, 3 weeks away, 3 days home, sort of thing like that. And it is affecting my health, you know, it is affecting my health. Psychologically, I'm not going crazy, not going crazier anyway. I'm doing okay there, but I'm stressed and my health is suffering, and I'm not getting the practice done that I need to do. So yeah, it's tough, but as of September, hopefully, I'm going to have more time. My one fear is that, actually, because I'm going to start doing some conducting, I hope that I'm not too good at conducting, because if I am, I'll be right back here in 2 years' time thinking I've got to get a life, you know. So yeah, I need a life, desperate. I need a stable house. I have a wonderful wife. We need a family. I need a couple of dogs, and I'll be laughing. Yeah, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I hear a lot of people saying, "Yeah, right," like I'm never going to slow down, but I've got to try.
So you have had incredible career that I think every young trombonist strives to have. What is the best piece of advice that you can give to a student pursuing a career as a musician?
You're in a competition with one person, and that's yourself. Don't look to what anybody else is doing, because it isn't going to help you. It's the oldest one in the book, but don't listen too much when people tell you great, and don't listen too much when they tell you you're terrible. You know, there's only one person who knows whether you're happy with what you've done, and that's you. You know, and that's it. I've lost a lot of years being concerned about what other people think of me, whether other people think I'm good or not. But over the years, I've discovered that it doesn't matter if the whole world tells you played well. If you think you played badly, that's the only opinion that counts. So that I would say is that don't listen to gossip. Treat others the way you would wish to be treated yourself, and that's about it, really. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.